won, but Techno, he's still alive to get things back in their court, but that was way too up close and personal.
It absolutely was, but another great mid-rounding from S8UL. Even though Antidote was able to run away, Georgie sent out that flash to set Aziz up in B main to try and pinch Helif from both Heaven as well as B main. But the fact that Helif was able to move on side and then S8UL pushed towards the spawn to take some space away which they were losing from B main is what resulted in this round still being converted for them, because the trades, again, going back and forth, they had the numbers advantage going into that one.
Yeah, this needs to be stopped.
Good call.
This definitely needs to be stopped, especially when you're 4 players up and you still somehow lose to a 2 players team. That just means that you are pretty much just throwing the round, but hold on to that thought. S8UL, once again, they kick things off on an aggressive note. 2 quick picks. That means that will be a massive advantage converted. Yes. And now it's up to them wherever they want to go.
That's an important one as well, right? Because we saw in the last map where the second pistol was won by S8UL, but they eventually threw up the very next round after that, the anti-eco.
Yeah.
So holding on to these weaponries, it means a lot for them for this one. Specifically, in a 9-3, the curse only activates once you're able to get the pistol, and then the rest of the few rounds too. And their diligence knows absolutely no bounds. Should have an idea that it's an empty site now, as the rest of the 3 members of RTX are gamble stacking the A site. It's going to take them eons to even rotate.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure Revenant X Park is just going to try to deny all these kills.
Yep.
So that they can deny those extra bit of credits and even the ultimate warps.
You know, now I realize why Rofuel is hitting some nasty shots this time.
Why?
He's using the Paper X Classic.
Okay, buddy. Alright. So you're someone who likes to believe in superstitions, huh?
Yeah, I do tend to believe that you will somehow push the rank in Valo.
Well, you see, sometimes people just don't really care.
Absolutely.
And just like Revenant X Park in that previous round, even they did not really care about winning it, so...
True.
Yeah, now they're going to move on with a refreshed economy, get their hands on better weaponry. Their goal's going to be simple, no matter what, win this one.
This is still a very winnable round for S8UL. There are 4 people with the half shields for RNTX, and there's an outlaw on the other side in the hands of King Kappa. But the fact is that this guy is struggling this time around. Normally when we see S8UL on the driver's seat, King Kappa is normally the one driving it. But this time, it seems a bit more aggressive.
Yeah, and the aggression once again towards the A-main, just like the players Revenant X Park did on their attack.
Kappa
applying a bit more of that pressure, and what was that shot? Heads cut off. The man peeked out for a split second. It was a jump peek to get the intel, but what a disgusting shot that was. Insane reactions. Revenant X Park, defense cut in half, went towards the A site. Just 2 players trying to stop the entire flood. S8UL utilizing every single piece of utility to gain as much intel as possible. Both the players pinned on towards the site. Venko wins that initial duel. I don't understand why S8UL is going for 1-by-1 duels, and that's one of the main reasons why they're losing out on the man number 2. But still, it can be under control. Aziz, he finds a quick 2-piece. Brings it down to a 3-on-2. S8UL, man disadvantage with them, but now they equalize it. A 2v2 to be executed. Revenant X Park on the defense. Things can still be pulled back in Rofuel. He finds a crucial pick. Spike gets planted. Techno all by himself. Needs to hold the off angle, catch the players off guard too. Techno in a big world of trouble. 2 players in the front. They're walking straight to the site, and he's got the timing as well. Catches the first man. That's a great isolation. Techno, he's clutched it just like this in the past too, and he can make it happen once again. And Techno, the man just makes it look so easy. The savior of S8UL in that round.
The isolation was absolutely perfect. Catches raw fuel first and then denies any potential for Antidote to trade that. Mind-blowing stuff from this lad. And brushing off the jitters of the previous map, that too so very quickly. That requires experience. And it's reeking out of him, and that's a bonus conversion by the way, Necro. And I'm pretty sure that the audience prediction that they were predicting to win is actually going to go haywire right now.
Yeah, everyone's going to be surprised and shocked.
Double push out. This time around RNTX trying to take that space though. But this is all technically a bait for S8UL to move towards the B side, which is technically the sagged part of the map.
Oh no, Georgie gets chipped up pretty low. It's not a good look.
Cage 3 can't heal himself.
Yeah. King Kappa wanted to get rid of that camera. And does get rid of it too.
Oh, Venka?
Yeah, this
Why
man's
are you
already pushed up
here?
way too deep. And no one's got a clue that Venka's in the back. He's pushed up way too deep. Now he's pivoting towards mid. He might just find a gold case in his hands if he moves in at the right time. But the timing's not going to be good enough. Good pull from Antidote. Might just be able to isolate one duel, but the man's completely trapped. And Venka, he finds a vault, but he's still not able to reap the benefits. Gets instantly denied. Miz walks into a crossfire, gets shut down eventually. S8UL, the sight falls in their hand. And now it will be unstoppable. As he's
What a
all by
round.
himself with just a Guardian.
What an absolute beast of a round from S8UL. Mind-blowing stuff yet again.
Clean.
They gave up the space towards the A, then took control of the B main and then moved towards mid, all the while keeping it in mind that they have lost the spawn control, so someone might lurk, and Techno turned around at the perfect possible moment. Otherwise that could have been deadly. Antidote did everything in his own position with a grapple as well and trying to survive behind that box, destroying the haunt, eating up the paranoia. It was all to make sure Venka gets someone from the backstab, but Techno just destroyed their plans. And here's the thing, there's another change in the Viper wall right now. It's going towards the B yet again. This gives you such a good angle to walk all the way through.
Yeah.
Considering there's also the Poison Cloud D, but hold on.
Big pick. Massive pick. Cypher's
It's a
down.
lurker.
That means the possibility of lurking up and flanking to have been activated. But are Revenant X-Park really going to exceed the limits and start pushing up? Once again, camera towards that same position, gives the position away, double satchels on towards the site, and Miz finds the value. Showstopper getting the maximum amount of value, but then you've got a man like Antidote who jumps on top of the heaven, and he finds a 2-pick instantly. S8UL, the take that they had in mind towards B is now just completely down the drain just because of that one play from Antidote.
But how many times have we seen these 2v4s being converted? And how many times has it been Helif? It's the last man standing.
Yeah, but not on this map. We haven't seen a lot of 2v4s converted on this map from S8UL.
20
In the
seconds.
previous one, yes, we did a lot. But since S8UL's got so much of that breathing space, they're moving all the way towards A from the back.
Venka.
And he
Venka
knows.
can win the round.
He knows he's ready and primed. Crosser's placed to perfection. Behind the screens, hiding, and he spots the first man, but he whiffs! That could have been the opportunity. Venka taken down to 1 HP. No time left, and that's going to be it. S8UL. They whiffed the most important round. Helif wants to keep himself alive, and he will.
Nice adjustment from Revenant X-Park, specifically from Antidote. The jumping judge out of heaven. Passing down his judgment. You know, when nothing works, judge works. Antidote was like, it's been a bit too much for me to... You know, with the rifle, I'm gonna just throw it all down. That was technically the play that made this entire round turn around on its head. Finally, that 4-round streak of S8UL being broken by RNTX, and they move to double digits.
Man was like a god falling from heaven, striking his judgment. There we go. Things once again spring as Miz is able to find the first. And even Techno is able to follow up with the second one. Revenant and X-Spark making the same mistakes they did in the past. And LF wants that crucial duel. 1v1's given by Revenant and X-Spark. This time the heroics won't work. But as long as George is alive, they can still pull it back. This man's been an absolute monster. Time and time proving himself and his worth. And King Kappa is just looking to execute a perfect lurk. Now he will be able to do so, but Aziz is still going for that recheck. Aziz.
Got Seekers.
This will be a white check coming from Aziz and his teammate, Georgie. He still somehow finds that pick on towards King Kappa. And now it seems like Revenant and X-Spark is just going to pull back. They're going to go for the save.
Yeah, they can't. They've got so much space to clear, and then Techno also has got the Viper Spit in his back pocket if push really comes to shove. S8UL bounce back so quickly, sending out the same ball over towards the A side, but this time running them, all of them out through the B main and catching the players up in heaven too. A big round to be converted as well because the showstopper was baited out from Aziz, and King Kappa survived through all of that.
Looking at the ultimates, Georgie with Seekers available, Demolition in the hands of Venka. Revenant and X-Spark, they've got two massive ultimates available. Demolition can pretty much just give you the advantage off the rip if used properly. And Revenant and X-Spark into deep thinking on what exactly needs to be done. S8UL, they're starting to win series of round. A while ago, it looked like a complete one-sided map, but now S8UL, since they are starting to pull this entire game back in their hands, Revenant and X-Spark, they're starting to sweat. What do you think? Is Split an attacker-sided map or defense-sided map?
Entirely depends on composition, my guy. Entirely.
I know, right? And still, both these teams are making it feel like it's supposed to be an attacking-sided map.
Exactly, because that's what double controller technically brings you on the table. The fact is that both of these teams, they like to play their own type of style on this one. Revenant X-Spark, they heavily depend on that mid control. They like to play around that part of the map. While S8UL, when they are on the attacking side, extremities it's the entire name of the game. Certain times jumping in mid.
Yeah. S8UL's really good at set plays. And recently their communication as well. It's been fly! But what are you gonna do with communication when you've got a man like Aziz just tapping out skulls? It's just unfair. It's unfair.
Aziz is. If there's Aziz in the opponent, that's already an unfair thing for you. This man cracks up like anything. And you can't afford to have one Aziz round. You can't afford to have one raw fuel round. S8UL will need to work together, and the Seekers are going to give so much information. The next two players are going to be pulled in over towards the B site as well.
Yeah.
They've still got 50 seconds to work with, so if they want to go towards the A side, then they absolutely can. But then there's another aim beast there, and that is Venka.
At the end of the day, both the teams stacked with good players. Mechanical gods. S8UL a little bit better when it comes to those set plays. But as I mentioned, what are you going to do with set plays and proper communication when you've got a man like Aziz popping off and Georgie able to win these duels in such an awkward manner? But still, it's doable. 2v3 to be executed. Hoax, he needs to find one more. That's the only way S8UL can still pull it back. And as you mentioned, it's a heavy plant. This flash will give away the position. But what a pick that was! On the back of that paranoia, they caused a perfect distraction. And they want to go for a double peek as well, and Revenant and X-Spark will make it happen eventually. Beautiful stuff.
The call was picture perfect. They realized where both the players were. And it's going to have advantage at what angle.
Yeah, in my opinion, S8UL should have backed away the moment they found the one man. That's it. They should have just backed away and played for the post plan well.
I kind of agree, but the only thing that I can reason with them standing there is the fact that Hoax was down to 30 HP, so they probably thought that maybe if we still hold this one angle down, we might be able to catch them off guard. And also there was a smoke right in their faces. It's just the fact that RNTX found a better way to play around with it. Not something we are accustomed to seeing, and Still, Antidote's gonna stick with his judge. This time it's out the B main though, but the main thing is King Kappa with the operator. He has been struggling this entire map.
Honestly speaking, I'm not a big fan of operator on the attack. That too on the map is split. I'm not a big fan of it. You need to be extremely aggressive to make that operator work. And since you have given the operator to a Cypher, I highly doubt he's going to be able to squeeze in as much value that's needed. And S8UL is already just falling apart. Down to just 2 players, the operator is way too slow to find any sort of value, while your assaulters are just falling apart. Eventually, King Kappa is able to connect that important frag, but at the cost of what? Losing your 3 players.
Here's the thing. This is a very, very passive cosmic divide. And that barrier mesh now being thrown as well. That there's got a ton of information to you. They're actually going to still push through this part of the map. It is going to be stacked up, so Aziz and Rafuel work in unison.
One enemy remaining.
Oh my
30 seconds
god.
left.
Disgusting. Rafuel. You absolute demon. Miss. And in the end, Hoax 2 falls apart.
Match point.
That's just rough luck. Now the game's starting to slip away from the hands of S8UL. Momentum wins in the sale of Revenant X Spark. While S8UL, they've got 3 ultimates available. But if they keep on losing to players in such a bad manner where they're not even standing a chance to fight back, then those ultimates are pretty much waste.
It was just a counter setup this time around from RNTX. And that was the reason why S8UL kept on losing to players. And the shot like this, if
is what I'm
Aziz
talking
does...
about.
If he does things like this, you can't really blame anyone out there. Another wallbang shot. Hoax is lucky to be alive. A piece of metal saving his life there. And look at this mid control.
S8UL's already starting off with a disadvantage, but Techno is pushed up so deep, he's found so much control. Techno, look to your left! What are you doing, my man? S8UL, final 2 men standing. Hoax is taken down to barely any sort of HP. King Kappa is busy lurking as usual. He does get the intel. Hoax is blocked, but eventually teleports on towards the site. Is this really going to be a massive play? It might just be. Hoax is actually able to slip all the way towards the defensive side. But eventually now just goes for the plant. 3 HP and a dream. It seems impossible. 1 bullet connection from the side of Revenant X Spark will seal the deal. And that's what happens.
Very decent shot by Venka as well. Moving all the way down. RNTX are not going down without a fight, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a series for ourselves. 13-8 win for RNTX on their map pick of Split. And they just had so much more control over towards the later stages of this map. And the fact that they were running that double sentinel composition down as well, right, Necro, that gives you so much more passive